All right, so we are talking about just basics of factoring. Now, this is something you learned last year in Algebra 1, and we did a little bit of it this year. So I just want to go through it again and make sure that you're all clear. I'm going to do a couple problems from each of these. Here's your homework is here, 1 through 14. Okay, so here we go. The greatest common factor means that there's going to be a number that you're going to take out of the expression, and then we'll have something left over. So for example, a number that 5 goes into and that 15 goes into. So what would that be? Well, I'm hoping you said 5. Then you're going to do something like what's left? 5 divided out of 5x squared leaves just an x squared. Subtraction sign stays. 5 divided out of 15 is a 3. And you're done. Okay? Let's do another one. I'll do this next one. A 6, a 2, and a 4. What number goes into 6 and 2 and 4? Well, I hope you said 2. Then what's left is 3x squared plus x. Then I need to put a 1 minus, and then 2 divided out of 4 is a 2. Okay? So this is what GCF is, okay? You're taking common numbers out. This one's pretty tricky. Okay. Whenever an expression leads off with a negative, you have to take the negative. So a negative, now a 6 and a 36. Okay, so it's going to probably be a 6 that you'll take out. Now, how many y's? Here's the question. How many y's do they both have? I can't take y to the 4th out of this one because it only has 3. But can I take y to the 3rd out of y to the 4th? Yes, I can. I'd still have 1 left over. So I'm going to do this. Negative 6, y to the 3rd. And then in parentheses is what's left over. So the 6 and the negative both got taken out. 3 y's got taken out of 4. So I'll put a y. And then if I take a negative out of this positive 36, so it's basically like, what's negative 6 if I take it out of positive 36? It's going to be a negative 6. Y to the 3rd divided out of y to the 3rd, nothing's left. Okay, so that's just a couple of them. I'm not going to do all of them. I just want you to get like a little overview, right? Okay. Grouping. Grouping means that I'm going to have 4 terms. 4 terms means that I'm going to break it up into 2 parts, okay? So here, I'm going to cut this in half because the 2x to the 3rd and the 8x squared, they have something in common. So I'm going to have 2 and 8. Well, 2 can come out. How many x's can I take out? I have an x to the 3rd and an x squared. At least how many x's do they both have? They both for sure have 2. Okay, so then I'm going to get, 2x squared out of x to the 3rd. So the 2 divided out of 2, I don't need to write anything. But x squared taken out of it, it's almost like a subtraction problem, guys. It's just an x. Now minus sign stays. How about 2 divided out of 8? It's going to be a 4. What's x squared out of x squared? Well, nothing. So I've done half of my grouping. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to look at this second part and I'm going to take something out. So I still have to leave the plus sign. And then 3x minus 12, a GCF. Take something out. 3 goes into both of them. And then x minus 4. Now, what's wonderful about this, and what always has to happen, is that these 2 parentheses must be the same. Okay? So I for sure have an x minus 4. And I'm only going to write it once because it's in common with both. And then I'm going to look at what's still here. I have a 2x squared and I have a plus 3. And that is going to make up another binomial. Okay? So that is done with grouping. Okay? Try this next one on your own. I'm going to press pause. So press pause on your computer and try it. All right. So you'll notice that I had to take out a 5x from the first one. Now on this 2x minus 3, there was nothing in common. So what that means is it's kind of like I could also write that I could take out a 1 and then nothing changes because I'm going to need these to be the same, right? 2x minus 3. But if I didn't put this plus 1 there, then all I'd have is a 5x. I have to have a binomial. And since I didn't have anything to factor out, I can easily put 1, because if I multiply 1 times 2x minus 3, I get 2x minus 3. Okay? So there's that. All right. I put a little asterisk, and I said that you need to reorder, because you do. Okay? You need to put things together that are the same. So reordering means that I'm going to need to change things around so the things that have just, like the A's, should go together. So I'm going to do, let's see, I could write the A's like this. These both have A's. So I could do a 6. Minus 3a, right? Now I'm going to play with it because the next thing I have is, if I start this with 6a to the x, I need to start with this positive 4b to the x, because the x term, you'll see. Then minus 2b. Here's where I cut in half. A lot of you might be asking me right now, how did you know how to order it? Well, this has to be done by trial and error. So you reorder it, and then you try and take something in common out, and if it doesn't give you the same parentheses, then you did it wrong. So with a 6 and a 3, I know that I can take out a 3, and they both have an A. So then I can do 3 divided out of 6 is 2. A divided out of AX is just X. 3 out of 3A is going to be a minus 1. Now, 4b to the x minus 2b. 4 and 2 have something in common. I could take out a 2. They also both have a b, don't they? So now, 2 out of 4 is a 2. B out of bx is an x. The subtraction sign, 2b, 2b, a 1. So, three a plus 2b. And 2x minus 1. Okay. Last one. This negative 1 that I put right here means that I'm going to have to change something with a negative 1 because the signs might not be right. So here we go. Let's get... All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to now do the next one. So I'm sorry. I know I got distracted. I had to press pause and help my kids for a little bit. So this grouping right here with a negative 1, I also need to reorder. Because if you'll notice, 3a squared and 2b have nothing in common. So something needs to be changed. So it's 3a squared, and I'm going to put the other a with it, minus 6a. And then I'm going to do, I can do minus 2b plus ab. Get over there. Logan, get over there. Sorry, I'm pressing pause and having my child get to a certain Zoom session. Okay, so I reordered them, right? Here we go. I've got... All right, so I just wrote them in the order that I see them. So 3a squared minus 6a. So 3 and 6 both have a 3 in common. an a squared and this a both have one a in common. So then I make my parentheses, and I'm going to put 3 out of 3 is good. A out of a squared is a. Minus sign. 3a out of 6a is a 2. Okay? So now I'm going to now look at this second set, and I'm going to do what's in common. I've got a 2b and then an ab. Well, there was a b in common. So this, remember how I was talking about this negative sign, the subtraction sign? So I'm going to take it out now, and the b is the only GCF, the only thing in common. Okay? So now I have negative b out of negative 2b is a positive 2. Laura. All right, I'm back again. So I took out a minus b. There was a 2. Now, take out a negative b from positive ab. Well, that's going to give me with negative sign and a b. But this is a positive. So I'm dividing out a negative b out of a positive ab. That's going to leave me with a negative a. And the way that I could do this is I could check. Like I could distribute and say, is negative b times negative a positive ab? Yes, it is. Okay. So now I have to show you something. This and this are a little bit different. They are not the same thing. They're close, right? So here's what has to happen. What has to happen is that in order for me to, I like this a minus 2. I like the variable in front with the number after. This one is the one that's backwards. So what I want to do with this one is I need to change the order. So I'm going to multiply by negative 1. So if I end up writing it as it is, and then I end up multiplying this one by negative 1 because I want the order to switch. I want the a to be positive, like this one is, and I want this negative 1 times 2, the 2 to be negative. This negative 1 gets multiplied by this negative b. So it's basically like this, negative b times negative 1, 2 minus a. But again, like this is weird. Nobody writes it like that. So this becomes a positive b. Now, since I multiplied by negative 1, I can now make it the right ordering. Okay, so this negative 1 thing is it's a special thing. Now, they match perfect. 3a plus b is what's outside. And then the parentheses in common is my a minus 2. Okay. The back one is just plain old factoring. Plain old factoring is what you've done in probably a little bit in 8th grade and then for sure in Algebra 1. So you need to find two numbers that multiply, form the product of AC, like 1 times 4. Multiply to make that, and then they need to add up to negative 5. There's so many different methods, and I'm not going to do a certain method because I want you guys to actually use the method that has worked best for you, that you learned back in Algebra 1. So 4. I need two numbers that multiply to make 4, but add up to negative 5. So you play around with the numbers. It's going to be 4 and 1, but I need them to add up to negative 5. If they're both negative, then I got it. Okay? And that's all you need to do. You need to make two binomials. Okay? Let's do one that equals 0. I'm not going to do all on this paper, but I'm going to do a lot. Probably like 6 of them I'll do. Here, this equals 0. This is like the zero product property. Two numbers that multiply to make 28 and add up to negative 3. Okay? So that's going to be 28. Well, I got 14 times 2. That's not it. And I also have 7 times 4. So 7 times 4. Okay? Now, I want them to add up to a negative 3. A 7 plus 4 is 11. But a negative 3 could be made by a negative 7 and a positive 4. So I could check by saying, negative 7x and positive 4x. Does that make negative 3x? Yes, it does. So I know that I'm right. Now I'm going to do zero product property, where you set both binomials equal to 0. So now you're solving for x equals 7, and then you're subtracting 4. Okay, so those are the two values of x that I could plug into my trinomial to get a true solution.
Mom, can you be done now?
No, I'm not done.
Mom, can I just play outside?
No. Okay, so any one of these is fine. I just did a zero product property. How about this one? Okay, this is the first time I've seen where it starts with a 2. Okay, that means that in order for me to multiply my first, I'm going to have a 2x and an x. Now, the issue, have a good eraser handy, is where's my 3 going to go? Is my 3 going to go here and my 1 here? Or am I going to have a 1 here and a 3 here? So you kind of need to play around, if you don't have a method that you like, with doing the foiling. I know that 7 has to be made. Everything's positive, so that's good. If everything's positive and I need to make a 7, I could probably do 6 and 1, right? A 6 and 1 would be this, with the 3 here and the 1 here. Because look, 6 and 1x. That makes 7x. So those are the answers to that one. The next one I'll do is here. 5x squared. Well, nothing makes 5 except for 1 times 5, right? Because 5 is a prime number. So 5x and x. Now the 7 has to be made. If I did 5 times 2, then that would be 10. 10 and 1 don't make 7. So it doesn't go there. How about if I put the 2 here and the 1 here? So 5x is here, and then 2x is here. That makes 7. But I want a negative 7, so they're both going to have to be negative. And then this last, negative 2 times negative 1, makes the positive 2. So that's perfect. Please not now. All right. Let's do one from the bottom. I think you're probably going to want me to do this one. So here's the deal, guys. I can do a couple things. 6 and 33 and 15 have a GCF. So I could do 3 as a GCF and get 2x squared minus 11x plus 5 equals 0. Now, when I have something like this, I'm then going to have to do, okay, two numbers that are going to multiply to make 5. Okay, multiply to make 5 times 2. Multiply to make 10. Because remember, it's the product of AC. So A is 2, C is 5. They got to multiply to make 10.
Are you done yet?
So 2x squared is going to have to be a 2x and an x. Now it's the 5 that I don't know where to put it. Remember, I can do 1 times 5, or I can do 5 times 1. This would be 10 and 1, which sounds good. This one would be 2 plus 5. That would make 7. So I actually don't want the 5 to be in the front parentheses. Okay. I have to make them add up to a negative 11. If they're both negative, 2 times negative 5 makes negative 10. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. So negative 10 and negative 1 make negative 11. That's it. So here we go. 3 gets set equal to 0. That's nothing. You just don't even solve that. I do 2x minus 1 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. So this I'm not even going to worry about. But here I have to solve for x. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. X equals 1/2. Then x equals 5. My two solutions are these. Your homework tonight is these 14 problems and the other video and the other worksheet. Okay, there's a lot going on. Okay, I did give you a hint that 5 through 8 is grouping and the normal factoring is 9 through 14. Okay, so that being said, you have 2 worksheets to turn in today. Okay, so I need you to attach 2 worksheets to the assignment. All right, thanks very much, guys. Sorry the video was so choppy. Bye.